Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome. My name is Pompberry, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Hipdot and My Chemical Romance collaboration. Now, two things. I know that I look crazy because my foundation is way lighter than it should be. And second thing, I am aware that I am super late to the game with this. But as you probably know by now, the launch was kind of a fiasco. So I was only able to get the palette the second time round when they did the pre-sale, and then the pre-sales shipped out in January. But as you probably noticed, I wasn't really active in January here on the channel, so I'm only getting around to this now, but better late than never. So I've already done my foundation and I'm gonna jump straight into it, but before I begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. So the reason I've paled my face down and I look this matte, I am like, I cannot deal with matte foundation anymore. I just can't. But the reason why I did this is because I will be recreating the Helena makeup. I know it's a super simple look. I know it's probably been done like a million times with this palette, but I don't care. I've always thought that Helena in the video was gorgeous, and I remember watching it as a kid and thinking she was so cool and be like, oh my god, I want makeup like hers, and I didn't have it. So today is my day to turn myself into Helena. Okay, so before I actually dip into the palette, I'm gonna go ahead and do my contour and brows, and as I do that, I'm gonna talk about My Chemical Romance for just a second before we get into this. I'm going to talk about my personal, I don't know what to call it, experience, journey, I don't know. So for my contour, I'm going to be using the Lunatic Cosmetics Labs Contour Palette Volume 1, and I think I'm going to use these two shades. So how did I first find out about My Chemical Romance? So I lived in France at the time, in Paris, and I was like probably 12 or 13 years old, and I had never heard their music before, and a friend of mine from school, she came to me one day and she was like, dude, do you want to go to this concert with me? I don't have anyone that wants to go with me. Will you go? And I was like, okay, sure. I'm not doing anything, so yeah, why not? And she said the band was called My Chemical Romance, and I remembered that I had actually seen something about them in a magazine. I had seen like a picture of them, but that was like all I knew about them. And so because I decided to go to the show with my friend, I was like, I should probably look up their music and, you know, see what I'm gonna be listening to. And so I looked up their music and started listening to it, and I became obsessed. I went from, yeah, sure, I'll go to the show, to I can't believe I'm seeing them in concert. And that change happened in a very small amount of time, but I was hooked. My friend was obsessed as well. We both went hours ahead of the show to get a good spot in line. And the show happened at the Zenith Park in Paris, but it wasn't in like the big concert hall. It was in a little concert hall, like in the same park. And you've probably heard about the Zenith. A lot of big musicians and bands film like live DVDs there. I think the Evanescence show was there, but basically they weren't at the bigger venue. They were at this like little tiny venue because they weren't huge at the time in Paris. I think they were pretty big in America, but in France, they were just like starting to dip their toes. So it was like a 300 person venue, maybe. It was a very small venue. But not only did we go hours ahead of time, we also wanted to dress for the part. So I went out with my mom and I bought a red necktie, which I then got autographed by Gerard after the concert. And I also wanted red eyeshadow. Both me and my friend, we wanted to wear the red eyeshadow. So we both went to Sephora, aka Sephora, looking for some red eyeshadow. But at the time, it did not exist. Okay, y'all are spoiled now. We have every single color of the rainbow available to us in eyeshadow form nowadays, and lipstick form, or any other form. But back then, almost 20 years ago, oh god, I'm about to turn 30 this month on the 11th, and I still, like, it still hasn't sunk in. Like, I still feel like I'm in my early 20s, but then when I think about like living in Paris, I'm like, oh yeah, that was 18 years ago? Oh, no. I'm sorry, no. No, that is unacceptable. So, 18 years ago. There was no red eyeshadow that you could just go and buy in a store, you know? So we went to Sephora in search of a red eyeshadow, and the closest thing we found was a kind of reddish, but it was like shimmery, so I guess it was like more coppery than anything, but it was like kind of red, one of those little round eyeshadow pots from Bourjois, and that was that. That was like the closest thing that we found, and it wasn't a true red, and it wasn't matte, but I bought it anyway. And so on the day of the concert, we both did like the black liner in our waterline, and then just put this almost red shadow just all over our eyes. And so we kind of looked crazy, but you know, it's a look. Okay, and for my brows, I'm like barely filling them in. I'm just doing little hair-like strokes with the Urban Decay brow blade because her brows don't seem really filled in. That wasn't really a thing at the time, you know, the super filled in brow. So I'm really just filling in the little gaps that I have, and that's basically what I'm gonna do for my eyebrows. So we did our makeup. I bought the tie, we were ready to go. We arrived hours ahead of time, and then they came out before the show, just like walking around, walking into the venue. There was like no back entrance that they took. They just like walked past us and we all freaked out, and it was a whole thing. And then we went in, and it was like a tiny, tiny venue, as I said, but like the stage was maybe like 2 feet high. Like, it wasn't a big stage. It was like a little stage that you see in a bar. And so we were like one of the first ones in line. And so we were able to get right in front of the stage. And so we placed ourselves right in the middle. And so Gerard Way was like an arm's length away from us, which was pretty fucking great. And the show was great. This was during their 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge days. So this album is very near and dear to my heart. And yeah, it was a freaking amazing show. I'm so glad I got to go see it. Oh, and then the funny thing is, when my dad came to pick us up, we were waiting outside because the band was going to come out to take pictures and autograph things. And so while we were waiting for them to come out, we could hear that a show was happening in the big venue in the park. And my dad asked like one of the guys who was like unloading equipment or loading equipment into a van, or not a van, like a truck, whatever. And he was like, do you know who's playing over there? And they were like, oh yeah, it's Joe Cocker. And then my dad turns to me and he's like, are you seriously making me miss Joe Cocker for this? And I was like, whoops. But yeah, we got to take pictures with Gerard and with Frankie. The rest of the band was taking too long. It was getting late, so we left. But yeah, it was really cool. It was a really cool experience, and it was one of my first ever concert experiences. Like, I had been to a few. I went to see Avril Lavigne in that same park, but in the big venue, actually. So it's a memory that I will always cherish. But okay, now that my contour and brows are done, we can get to the palette. If this had existed at the time, like, I can't even explain to you how baby Pompberry would have reacted to this palette. When I saw it and when I saw the colors, I was like, okay, these aren't any new colors that I don't already have in my collection. This isn't a palette that I necessarily like need to complete my collection, but I had to buy it, you know, for nostalgia's sake. And I also bought it for baby Pompberry because I know how much she would have loved this. So the Helena look is actually pretty simple, and I've been analyzing her look, and it seems like the eyeshadow that they used wasn't necessarily fully matte because, as I said, at the time, completely matte red eyeshadows were not easy to come by. So it looks like there's some sort of like sheen to her eyeshadow, but it still reads pretty much matte. All the shadows in here are matte except for this silver one called Explosive Light, and I love the little embossed designs on the eyeshadows. All of them have a different design to them. I wish that they were deeper, that the like embossed image was embossed deeper into the shadow because you can't really see all of them. I don't know if the camera's even picking it up. Here we've got the 2 lovers, and then we've got the face that's also part of the album art. We've got a church over here, what looks like a church. There's a tree, there's a rosary, and then this is the saint with all the swords, and the red at the top says revenge. So here, hopefully you can see all of them, but I don't know if you can. So I've never used a Hipdot product before. I know that their whole thing is their collaborations. Like they have a SpongeBob collection, they have a Tapatio collection. They do a lot of these collaborations with things that aren't necessarily makeup related, and they make actually really cute collections out of them. And I should mention that they also brought out an eyeliner and a brush with My Chemical Romance. I didn't buy them because I honestly did not need those things in my collection. The eyeliner is a double-sided liquid liner, which I thought was a horrible choice because the whole thing with the emo look is the dark black in the waterline and tight lining with a black pencil, not with a black liquid liner. So I thought that the liquid liner was totally like out of place. And a brush that's a part of the collection is a double-ended brush, and I personally don't like the shapes of the brushes. I find that they're too dense for me. I prefer kind of looser brushes that aren't so round. So I just went for the palette, and I'm gonna try to use a few of these shades, but I think I'm probably gonna end up using like 2 or 3 shades if I'm honest. But we're definitely gonna dip into this red. I like that there's like an orange red and a cool toned red. I like that there's that difference in the palette. I might use both. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to start by dipping into Pitchfork Red, which is this one up here. And I'm going to take it on a really fluffy brush. Again, I don't know how pigmented these are, so I'm just going to go very like little by little, and I'm going to blend that all over. I want to do more of a rounded eye shape, so I'm not going to be winging this eyeshadow out. I'm just going to go up into the crease and towards my brow, but I still want some blank skin right here. The color doesn't go all the way to the brow, and this seems like a little too bright for her, so let's see how it looks by mixing this Starless Eyes, which is the cool toned red. Ooh, that reads a lot deeper. And these shades don't actually match the makeup look that Helena has in the video. All the colors are kind of very muted on her, but fuck it. I'm just gonna do a brighter version of her makeup because I can't not do it. You know, I can't not go for a Helena look with this palette. So I'm gonna take this darker one and just pop it right on the lid. Gonna switch to a flatter, denser brush for that. It's better for packing on color. Okay, so far I'm not getting fallout, which is great with the red. It seems to be going on pretty nicely. The way I prep my eyelids is the way I always do, is just some concealer and powder. I didn't do any concealer under my eyes because the eyeshadow is gonna go so far down. I didn't think it was necessary. So I just did a heavy coverage matte foundation, powdered all the areas that I needed to powder, and then called it a day. That's interesting. I thought I'd be using this red a lot more than this one, but maybe I'll mix this one in too. Let's do a little bit of this one right in the middle. Why not? Oh, and you can definitely tell the difference. It like brightens up the lid a little bit. And the blending does not have to be perfect for this. This is supposed to look like grungy and kind of sickly, so it's totally fine if it's a little messy. Like I'm blending this down here. Normally I wouldn't do that. And then I'm also gonna take this shade and go under my eye. I'm getting a little bit of fallout, but I think it's nothing like tragic. I think I'll be able to wipe that off. And I'm just taking this. I'm gonna grab a little bit of the orange red, just going right under there. And then with a clean brush, I'm gonna blend this out. I kind of wish that there was a shimmery color to complement the reds, because I feel like the silver goes really well with like this gray and blue, like this diagonal line. But then I wish there was like a more neutral shimmery shade to go with the warm tones in here. But I do think the color story is pretty good. I do think it was very much what I was expecting when I thought of a My Chemical Romance palette. I'm glad that they included 2 types of red in here. I understand having the browns, even though they're neutrals, you can use them to blend out the black and the reds. So I thought that was a smart idea. And now I'm just blending this like way down. Oh my god, little 12-year-old Pompberry would be so happy right now. Okay, so another funny thing is that shortly after when I was 14, I think when I was 14, I moved back to Brazil, and that's when like the emo culture really was thriving. But in Brazil, like we had emo, but we didn't have scene culture. And oh my god, I loved scene aesthetic so much, but there was nowhere for me to get like the raccoon tail extensions. Like I couldn't get any of that. I didn't have access to any of that in Brazil. And so I just kind of like admired everything from afar through the internet. But anyway, I remember I didn't consider My Chemical Romance emo for some reason. Like I just refused to believe that they were emo, because we have to remember that being emo back then was not cool. I know that we look back on it fondly, but it was not cool to be emo. So whenever anyone called me emo for liking My Chemical Romance, I was like, you're wrong. Shut up. I'm not emo. And so I just had this like denial about being emo. But that was life back then. I don't know if it was the same here in the States, but in Brazil, it was like very uncool to be emo. And one thing that I actually like, I'm kind of bummed is I missed out on all the other bands that were popular here. The only bands that I listened to like from that time were My Chemical Romance and The Used. And I think I listened to like one Death Cab for Cutie album, but like that was it. I didn't get to know any of the other bands. I remember seeing people online going to the Warped Tour and being like, oh, I want to go so bad. Yeah, I missed out on the scene, and I still want to do a scene look. If you have been here for a little while, you'll have seen my punk Catwoman and my grunge Poison Ivy look, and I wanted to complete the trio with a scene Harley Quinn look. And I still want to do that. I just haven't, I don't know why I haven't done it, but I'll probably do it, and I'll probably use this palette. I should have reviewed this palette by doing that look, but I had to do this first. But I think I'll definitely include this when I do my Harley Quinn look, because I've literally always wanted the scene hair. I kind of did a very subdued version of it where I cut my hair in like layers, and at one point it was like really short here in the back, and then I just had like basically a mullet. So I had like the strands, and it was dyed black obviously, and I chemically straightened it at the time. I straightened my hair for so many years, so I had black spiky hair in layers, and I had long bangs and then just like little strips, but I didn't have like the colored extensions or anything, or the volume, the crazy volume up here. I didn't do any of that. So that is something that I want to do. Haven't done yet. Okay, and I know that I'm avoiding the inner corner, but her red goes all the way to the inner corner. So I'm just gonna fill this in. But she does have a hint of a shimmer in the inner corner. So I might use the silver and mix it with a red and see if that works. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, this is a very intense look. But it was iconic back then, and I mean, it still is. And this is what I tried to do to go to their concert. Like, this was the kind of makeup that I tried to do, but it did not look... It was a mess, okay? Okay, now I'm actually gonna take the color All the Ghosts, which is the brown, the dark brown, and I'm gonna take that and put it right under my bottom lash line. So she has the bottom lash line really, really dark, and this brown actually goes on pretty dark. I think this would be a really good gradient for black, and I am going to put black in here, but this is like a good transition. Oh, that's cool. I'm digging this. Okay, maybe it's not just baby Pompberry that would be very happy with this palette. 30-year-old Pompberry is very happy too. I think I might actually also take some on the outer corner, because there does seem to be a little bit of darkness there. And I'm gonna try to keep faithful with the original look. She's not wearing lashes, she's not wearing lipstick, and we're gonna get to that. Oh god, the whole foundation as lipstick trend. But I understand that they were like trying to make her look dead in this, but still, people were doing that for realsies. That is a trend that I will never support. Okay, so I did get a little bit of fallout here on the cheeks. I'm just gonna take some powder with color in it, so not translucent, and I'm just gonna dust that on top and see if that helps a little bit, because I don't want any sort of color on my cheeks. Okay, then I'm gonna take the black on a little teeny tiny brush, and I'm gonna apply it super close to my bottom lash line. Ooh, this seems to be a really good black. I'm taking like really little because I don't want any fallout, and it's packing a punch. So I'm just gonna take that real close, and I'm not really gonna blend it out. I'm just gonna like leave it there. And with the addition of the black, it kind of makes the brown just look black. Like you can't tell that there's brown in there. I kinda maybe want to try adding, oh God, my nose. I kind of maybe want to try adding this lighter brown, but I don't know if that's going to work. I'm gonna see, because why not? We're trying out the palette. Just going to do that under the black to hopefully bring out the brown a little bit. Okay, I think that does work. It mutes the red a little bit. It works for the intended purpose. Blending this down even further. I kind of want to add a little bit of this light brown to the top as well to kind of mute down the red a little bit, at least like up into the crease on the outer part maybe, but I don't want to like define the crease. I just want to change that up a little bit, just change the tone, so I'm not like really applying it in my crease. I'm just dabbing it and just being irregular with it, really just to kind of change the tone a little bit, make it a little bit darker. Now I kind of want to try the silver in the inner corner, but I'm gonna take like a little itty bitty baby amount and just pop it right in there. Because I don't know how pigmented this is. I don't know if it's just like a topper. Okay, no, it's like a proper silver shadow. But I'm going to use it just to give like a little hint of something, because she does have like a little hint of shimmer in there. She also has it like on her lid a little bit. I might just very gently dab that on since it's on my finger, but enough that it doesn't really change the red. I want it to look like a shimmery red almost. So I want it to be really sheer like that. It just gives the light something to reflect off of, but I don't want the silver to be noticeable. I just want the light to catch these points. So if there was a shimmery red in here, that would be awesome. Maybe instead of the white, I don't know, but I kind of like that they included a white in here, and I want to swatch that baby because you guys know about my obsession with white eyeshadows. So since I'm talking about it, let me try this bad boy. Oh, it's so hard with nails. I've been wearing long nails, but like it's so much harder to do everything. Okay, doesn't seem like it's super pigmented, but it does seem like a good white eyeshadow. Might be able to build it up. Yeah, that seems good. Ooh, I might use it for a little bit of highlight. I'm going to take my powder brush and I'm going to dip it very gently into the white just to do like a very subtle matte highlight, because since we're here, might as well. This look is very matte, and her contouring isn't super intense, but she does seem to have a little bit of contouring under her cheekbones. So by adding a matte white here to highlight, it'll just accentuate the cheekbones a little bit more. Then I'll do my chin, the cupid's bow, and my nose as well. It's nothing crazy, just very subtle. I'll do some on my brow bone too. Okay, I think this looks fucking hot. I don't know if it's just me. I'm just crazy. But I love this kind of like grungy, messy makeup that just looks like you did it in like 5 minutes and ran out the door to go to the punk concert that you're late for. I don't know. Now I'm just going to line my waterline, and I'm going to tight line my upper waterline with the Milk Makeup Boss gel liner. This is my favorite for tight lining because it's so tiny. You can get like right in there without it being super uncomfortable. I hate tight lining my eyes, but this one isn't as bad as like shoving a pencil in there. And I really want to work this into the roots of my lashes. I don't want like any skin poking through. And if you get some onto the skin, you can just lightly blend it out, or you can leave it there for a more like grungy look. Shit, I just realized I didn't even talk about the whole launch day fiasco and why it was a fiasco. So I talked about it a lot in my stories in the day that it happened, but basically the collection was gonna go live at noon, and so I was ready on my computer, set an alarm and everything, and I was ready to go. I was on their website, and then noon rolled around and I kept refreshing their main page, and like nothing came up. Nothing regarding the collection came up. And I kept refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. And like a few minutes had gone by until I like decided to type into their search bar My Chemical Romance. And then when I finally like realized that I should search for it, it popped up, and then I went to buy it and it was in my cart and it had sold out. I've never had an experience of something launching and the web page not reflecting that launch. So whenever there's like a big makeup launch, if you refresh the page, it'll pop up like first thing on the page. Usually, like when ColourPop has done a launch, you'll see it on their main page, like right there, boom, click here for the new launch. So that's what I was expecting from Hipdot, but that didn't happen. Their main page just stayed the same. And that happened to a lot of people, and it was super frustrating. Now I'm going to do my mascara. I'm going to go in with the Essence Lash Princess just because I haven't used this in so long. I don't even really remember how it looks on my lashes. But yeah, it happened to so many people. So many people were super bummed. And then a few days later, Hot Topic started selling a pre-sale. And so I bought it from Hot Topic instead of directly from Hipdot. And then that pre-sale stayed for like the entire day, and then it was sold out by nighttime. And that pre-sale only shipped out in January. So this palette was launched at the end of last year, but I only got it this year. But you know, it's fine. It's whatever. The thing with Hipdot though that I do like is that their collections, as far as I've been able to tell, they keep restocking it as long as there's a demand for it. Damn, this mascara is actually really good. Haven't used it in a long time. The thing is, at Hot Topic, you couldn't buy like the box with everything in it. I was gonna buy the box that had, you know, the brush and the liner because the box also came with a pin, but I was only able to get the palette, and honestly, I'm fine with that. I am glad, however, that they did a 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge palette. I don't think I would have been as stoked if it was like a Black Parade palette. While that is a good album, this one has a place in my heart, and I love their first album too. I only listened to Danger Days for the first time ever today because I decided to listen to their music to like hype myself up for this video. Danger Days was fine. Like, it sounded super generic in my opinion. Like, the music was good, it just wasn't My Chemical Romance, you know what I mean? And then someone DM'd me saying that they liked, I forget what the name is, but the songs they released after Danger Days, and I didn't even know they had done that. But apparently they released 5 single albums, and they each had 2 songs on them, and then they released one that was like a compilation of all those singles. I haven't listened to it yet. I started listening to the first song, and it seemed more like old school them, but then my Bluetooth speaker was like crapping out, so I haven't listened to them yet, but I do want to listen to them because it's always fun discovering new music by artists that you love that you had no idea existed. Like the other day, I went to listen to Silverchair, which is my favorite band ever, by the way. They're tied in first place with the Beatles, but I went to listen to their music, and then I saw that they had just released a new single like in December, and I hadn't heard anything about it. It's fine, honestly. Like, it's really repetitive, so I thought it was kind of whatever, but I had no idea they had made more music together, so that has my hopes up of maybe being able to see them live one day, because I've never gotten to see them live, and that honestly bums me out a lot. Okay, I'm not quite sure why I don't use this mascara on a regular basis, because I did another coat of it, and it looks dope. Like, this looks good. Like, I look like I might have falsies, but it's just my lashes. Like, this is kind of crazy. And it's from Essence, so it costs like, I don't know, probably like $5. I don't even remember, but I know that their stuff is super affordable. Anywho, we're almost done. Now for the lips, I'm just gonna put my foundation over my lips. As I said, this is a trend that I cannot stand by. I don't agree with this in any way, shape, or form. I do not like this. I think this is kind of atrocious, but it was the look back then. One trend that I'll defend till the day I die is skirts and mini skirts over jeans. I love skirts over jeans. We need to bring back skirts over jeans. I know that everything from the 90s and like early 2000s is coming back. The skirt over jean trend needs to come back. I do not like this. I think she might actually have like a peachy kind of really light lip product on. I don't know. Let me look at a different reference because I'm looking at like just one picture of her. Okay, no, it does seem to be like just straight up foundation or concealer. I'm just gonna sheer it out just a little bit, take the excess off with my sponge. And damn, I think this is it. This was super, super fast. Super easy. I'm gonna go put on a wig because yes, you gotta do the whole thing. So I'm gonna go put on a wig and accessories and all that, and I'll be back to show you the finished look. So I've got my wig on, I've got my little hat on. The only thing with a veil that I have is like a little pillbox hat, but I rewatched the video and she does seem to have like a little hint of a lipstick. It's got a sheen to it. I'm gonna try to go in with the Huda Beauty Sparkly Lip Balm in the color Negligee. It seems to be like a very, very light peach with just like a hint. Oh god, but it's mixing in with the foundation and it looks a bit of a mess. Okay, that didn't work out too well. Okay, I dabbed the excess off. I don't have any like truly shimmery lipsticks, how they used to wear back in the day. I'm gonna try to go in with a lip topper. This is Moonrise by Black Moon Cosmetics. I'm gonna just do a tiny bit and just kind of sheer it out. No, that is, I think, too much color. And then go over again with the foundation. Yeah, I don't know if I can get the shimmery lipstick effect. I mean, that's something. I think that might work, actually. Gonna add a little hint more. This one is from, it smells so good. It's from their, the Craft collection. Or rather, it's not really a collection. It's just a set of 2 lip products. Over again with a little bit of foundation. Okay, now my foundation lips have a little hint of something to them. And I don't have red flowers, but I've got dead ones that I took off my wall. And this is the finished look. I do quite like this look without the veil though. Let's take a look like that. Every time that I put on a black wig, I'm like, damn, I look hot with black hair. Should I dye my hair black again? Probably not. I used to have black hair back in the day and it was just so hard to get the black out of my hair when I decided to change it that I swore I would never go back. But I do love black hair on me. So it's a dilemma. It's a bit of a dilemma. But yeah, I am really happy with the palette. I think the quality is great. I think the eyeshadows apply beautifully. I think the quality is great. The eyeshadows are super, super pigmented. They blend out really easily. Can't really complain about it. I definitely want to use it again and try out the other colors, but I also want to use it for my Scene Queen Harley Quinn. Or should I call her Scene Quinn instead of Scene Queen? Anyway, this is something that I've literally always wanted to do and never did it. I have no idea why, but it's just one of those things, you know? And I would totally wear this makeup out and about. So I might do it again if I ever leave my house ever again. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's super late. I know there's a ton of reviews on this palette out there on YouTube. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed listening to my little MCR story and seeing some of the pictures from when I got to meet them. Also, I've been thinking about selling the autograph tie. I don't know if I should sell it or not. I've been thinking about it just because I'm like trying to declutter and trying to get rid of things. So I've been thinking about selling the autograph tie. If you're interested, shoot me a DM, make me an offer. I don't know. Maybe I'll sell it. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all my patrons who support me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.